Hello, and welcome back to the Calm and Connected podcast. Today, we are continuing our mini series on perspective taking. So, let me share a quick anecdote for you about different perspectives on roller coasters. So, my family and I went to Disney earlier this year. We did a lot of rides together, and we were doing a lot of things together. And one thing that my husband really wanted to do was the flume ride. I can't remember what it's called, but the flume ride in Disney. So we did it. And I am not the biggest fan of roller coasters. I'm the biggest fan of big drops. But I was willing to do it because I wanted to hang out with my family. So, I put my own feelings aside about that and I did it. And let me tell you, my daughter had a fantastic time. My husband had fun. My son, he liked the initial part of the ride and he didn't like the descent. And I was nervous the entire time and could not breathe. I was not happy. We were all in the same flume ride. We all had different reactions to it. My daughter and my husband loved it. My son and I did not. So it's just something to keep in mind. People will say, oh, roller coasters are so fun. Roller coasters are so fun for some people. So when they decided to go back on that again, I went to It's a Small World After All, which is much more my speed. The second game I want to talk with you about is Apples to Apples. So this is a game that works really well for groups of 4 or more. This is one of those games that I actually used to use all the time when I was working in small groups with older elementary school kids and middle schoolers and high schoolers. So there is a version of this game called Apples to Apples Junior. I particularly like to use. I've played Apples to Apples with adults, and some of the cards are a little bit fresh, and some of the people that they refer to are people that our kids may not know. It might be celebrities that older people know, but the kids don't know. So it might be a little bit tricky for them to play with those cards. So I like to play with Apples to Apples Junior with kids because it's all the cards are clean and they're things that kids know, like Taylor Swift is a card, so they all know Taylor Swift. The way you play this game is you have a set of red cards and you have a set of green cards. So all players get 5 red cards, and then you put a stack of green cards in the middle of the table, and then you pick somebody to be the judge. The judge flips over the green card and all the remaining players give the judge a red card face down that they think is the best match or the best combination with that green card. And then the judge takes all those cards, mixes them up, and then flips them over and makes a decision about what they think is the best match. Whoever's card they choose, they get that green card. The goal is to get 4 green cards. And once you reach 4 green cards, you've won. So if you are really good at figuring out what the judge is going to think, then you could get 4 green cards pretty quickly. One of the ways that people can play is advocating for their red card. So you can advocate, if a judge is having a hard time figuring out what to pick, you can advocate for the card that you put in. But the judge makes the final call on it. And then the judge moves. So after one person has judged, then the next person judges. So everybody gets a turn to be the judge in this game, which I think is fantastic. The reason why this game is awesome for perspective taking is that the judge is constantly changing. So you have to change what you think the card will be based on who the judge is. What you would put in for one person to be a good combination may not be the right combination for another person. You have to think about who is being the judge, who's in charge, who's the one who's going to be making that final call. You have to think about what would be the best fit for the judge, not for yourself. So I might think that these 2 cards would go together really well, but then somebody else might not agree with that and put another card with that. So the interesting thing is, if you play this game with a group over several weeks, you can see them getting better at it. It was awesome to see. So once you get to know people a little bit better, you understand a little bit more about who they are. You can understand how they will judge in a better way. So then you can put cards down that they will definitely pick or be more likely to pick. So over time, you can, if you play this game with people you know really well, chances are you're going to be able to sort of figure out what a judge might pick. And it's really, again, the part that is fantastic is that everybody gets a chance to judge. So you have to shift your perspective depending on who the person is who could be making that decision. So it's a fantastic game for groups. I absolutely love it. It is It involves a lot of reading and a lot of thinking, so I would definitely say upper elementary, middle school, high school. It is one of my staple games to go to when I have a group and we need to work on social skills about perspective taking. This is the game that I use. This is the first game that I try and use, and I will use it periodically throughout our sessions because they do change, because they get better at it. So it's pretty cool to see. If you want more ideas for social skills activities for kids, visit encourageplay.com. If you like this podcast, please share it with your friends and colleagues. And one last thing, don't forget about yourself. Take a few minutes, have a little fun. Have an awesome day.